Okay, so first things first, let me just show you guys what Harry's attached to this post. It's a bunch of Quiller proposals that say, "Congratulations, Harry," over and over and over and over and over again. So it's like, "Congratulations, Harry. Congratulations, Harry. Congratulations, Harry. Congratulations, Harry." Just nonstop wins, this guy. So you're a wizard, Harry. You're clearly making a lot of money. How the heck do you do it? Well, I mean, I've been following Harry for quite a while now, and we've been doing some back and forth. Harry is acquiring leads predominantly through, I want to say, I mean, like, realistically, it's two sources, but let's just say three. The first is through cold email. So, worth noting, Harry is selling cold email. And so he is selling the same thing that he is using to acquire clientele. So when he acquires clientele, a lot of the time, I would imagine, people are like, "Hey, how do I know that this works?" And he's like, "Well, you're on the call with me, aren't you?" So it's very congruent. It's very much like, "Hey, this is all I do all day long. I don't just do it for you. I do it for myself. I do it for like everybody. So I'm very good at this." Clearly, he's a professional when it comes to that, which is nice. The second is LinkedIn. And I'm going to do LinkedIn DMs for outbound, but also LinkedIn social now that he's trying to grow his brand. And he can actually grow his brand now because he's made enough money for it to be impressive, right? There are a lot of people that ask me like, "Hey, Nick, I want to start documenting my journey, talking about, the struggles of building an AI automation agency every day. Do you think it'd work?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because there's like a billion other people talking about that. Why the hell is like your newbie beginner journey like valuable? Your journey is not valuable until it has succeeded. It is only upon the success that people will look back on your journey and be like, "Hey, that must have some instructive value because he's clearly or she's clearly really successful now." But if you're just a newbie and you're all over the place or whatever, nobody gives a shit about your journey. Well, guess what? Harry's been through it all. He's now coming out the other side with like pretty solid income. I should note that the vast majority of this is profit as well, as margins are really high. So if he hits $20,000 in the month of January, like he could totally build a brand off of that. That is inherently impressive. Okay, anyway, so let's talk about these three paths. So first is cold email, obviously. He's doing a lot of cold email. And, I don't have his copy in front of me or whatever, so I can't roast it. But, he has a lot of mailboxes. This guy's sending it like a pretty significant volume. And he's also dialed in his product suite, so that he's always selling the same thing. It's always like productized cold email. Well, I guess he has two or three products. He has like the productized cold email retainer. He offers discounts on that from time to time. As you see here with the 3K a month retainer, 2.2K a month times two. And then he also does like one-off system builds where he builds like a cold email system for you, gives you a bunch of training, information, and so on and so forth, best practices, and then just lets you do it. So that's pretty neat, right? But the second and the third are pretty interesting. Harry's starting to get into LinkedIn, which is cool. So I'm just going to type LinkedIn Harry Rawles, and let's just see if we could find him. Yeah, right over here, Refine Flow. And I just want to show you guys what his LinkedIn profile looks like because he's really niched down. He's done a lot of thinking about this, and I could tell that that thinking has clearly resulted in his win. So first of all, he has like a really cool professional-looking banner, right? Predictable client acquisition for recruitment agencies. This is sort of like what we would call your value prop. And your value prop is just, if you could distill everything you do into one line, what would it be? Well, Harry says, "I provide predictable client acquisition for recruitment agencies." Wonderful. Then he has some social proof over here. He's generated over 600,000 pounds generated, 1.5 million emails sent. He's also connected recruiters with Yahoo, Fitness First, Vercel. So, I mean, I've never heard of Fitness First, to be honest. Maybe it's big in the UK or something. Vercel and Yahoo I obviously have. But it's clear that he's using every bit of social proof he can to buy himself additional social proof. Now, I don't know if he did this himself or if somebody else did, but I will say Harry has always had a really good sense of design, which I think also adds to it. Like, he's very good at, like, presenting things aesthetically. So, yeah, great looking banner over here. You see his kind of niche is AIGTM. Recruitment is underrated. He's in London, England. He's got a bunch of connections and stuff like that. Business is called Refine Flow. Notice how he does like everything. A lot of people will have their business and then they'll just have like a blank photo. No, he's actually gone through, he's added like a really sexy logo that's kind of like an R, but also sort of like an F, and it's kind of flowing. Like he spent a lot of time like making sure his brand looks super sexy. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter when you're making like $2 or $3 grand a month or whatever, right? Your first few clients. But Harry wants to like build a very sustainable machine, and that's what he's doing well. He has a pretty solid about the DM for a free demo. I mean, I'm sure there's some things here that Harry could be doing better. But I'm not going to comment too much on it because I'm not super great at LinkedIn marketing myself. Check out the services. His client testimonials. He has a bunch of video testimonials where people are literally, he jumps on a call with his clients and then goes like, "Hey, would you mind just saying like a couple quick words? How much money have we made you over the last period of time?" Then they tell you, "Okay, cool. Like, how did we approach? Do you like working with us?" So on and so forth. Because he's on the call, is going to sound bad, but it's like clients are going to be on their best behavior when they give you those testimonials, right? Testimonials are going to be great. They're also going to be a lot more natural than when people are just kind of in their room on their own. So he takes all these and then he publishes them, guess where? To his YouTube channel. And then he just uses those and links them in both his portfolios, in his like a lot of his Loom videos and everything else. So it's all very congruent, and you can tell that there's sort of like a method to the madness, right? And his services section, he's using not as like a services section, he's using it entirely as a social proof section. So that's why he has client testimonials and pushes it over here. So if I click on any of these, I go to this client testimonials page and there's information about it, and I can, go on his YouTube later and stuff like that. So he's kind of like gaming the system in that way. Okay, so obviously he has it presented really well, right? Like work with us with this Cal, visit my website and so on and so forth. Let's talk a little bit more about the broader strategy aside from just having a really good looking page. Harry does two things. Harry does outbound DMs, which I talk about here, okay? But then he also does LinkedIn social. And the cool thing to note about LinkedIn is when you do both of them at the same time, you have a much higher likelihood of success. And the reason why is because if you just did outbound DMs, then you'd be DMing a bunch of people and some of them would connect with you and whatever, but then you wouldn't have anything in your profile. So basically what would happen is the only communication that they would have with you is through the DM. But when you DM and you post social, like if somebody accepts your connect request, they're in your network, they now naturally and organically get nurtured by the posts that are in the LinkedIn social feed. So if they use LinkedIn, and they probably do if they're the sort of person that would accept your fucking connect request in the first place, all very congruent, they're going to be seeing not only the DMs that you send, but they'll passively be getting nurtured. And so there's a strategy out there that a lot of people are using now called kind of like the Trojan horse strategy. First I heard of this name was from Trey, so I've taken to calling it the Trajan horse. Anyway, where basically you have a connect request with some like minor observation about the person, something that like, makes it seem like it's personalized, like you've done your work. Then you accept, you thank them for the accept, and then you wait a couple days. I don't know, 3-4 days. And the idea is during this period of time, they're passively seeing maybe 2 or 3 of your posts. And your posts are really high quality. And so this is sort of like you warming them up without actually warming them up. Then, 3-4 days later, when you now reach out with the knowledge that they know kind of who you are, what you're doing. They've seen your post. They've seen how much credibility you get, 37 likes, whatever, right? So like, you're clearly not some loser just shouting into the void. You actually have some people that are part of your network. And then once all that's done, then you reach out and you have a higher likelihood of like actually getting them closed. So Harry does a combination of this. He uses automated tools like HeyReach and stuff like that to do that. And then he just posts about both his client wins and then, day in the life of a recruiter. He's like showcasing a lot of, I want to say like understanding of the niche and whatnot. Very cool strategy, huh? In addition, he's also a certified creator for HeyReach, a certified partner for Apify, a certified partner for Meg. Notice how this guy just takes whatever social proof he can. Now he gets to use HeyReach's logo, Apify's logo, Make's logo, Instantly's logo. If you're familiar with any of these technologies, you see his experience here and it's a certified creator, you're going to be like, wow, that's really cool. Then he also has some recommendations from other people in our groups and so on and so forth. Definitely give him a recommendation if you guys like what you're seeing. But yeah, that is more or less Harry's funnel. He's also experimenting with stuff like LinkedIn paid ads. What I really like about Harry is he's always like learning and he's always exploring. Worth noting his journey. He started in Make Money with Make, I think about over a year ago now. And he was working a part-time job at Xero, which is an accounting platform. And, he was really struggling with it for a while. He had a bunch of different strategies and ideas and like approaches he was going to take. And, I think he attempted a couple of them, but it wasn't until he joined the community and then I believe he started grinding Upwork, like I recommend to so many people, just to build both consistency and then some form of sales skill and the ability to articulate a solution before, he went 100% all in on cold email. He eventually replaced his income 1 for 1, I think like 2 for 1 actually, and then he ended up quitting his job. And now he's looking to move from not so sunny UK to somewhere else. So I mean, like, no far cry to say this has definitely changed his life. He's earning more money now than he was ever earning before. And kudos to Harry because it's all been a byproduct of his hard work. If you want to see more about Harry, feel free to send him a DM. I don't know, man, like stalk his freaking post history. The guy's a genius. Okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about, that's me.